Okay, it is the end of week 4, kind of, and the beginning of week 5. It is just chugging right along. Chugging right along. I have to tell you, I rewatched the beginning of last week's video and I was so monotone. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. I was actually trying to slow down and speak more clearly and more directly because sometimes I know, and I've said this, I can get really fast talking. So I have to slow down. At the same time, give you what you need to know and do it in a way that doesn't ramble too much on topic. So I want to talk about one, I'll talk about in a second the work you have for this week, and then looking at the fact that it's week 5, okay? So in week 4, most of you seem to do fine with this geolocation on the web host. I'm actually thinking that we'll take that concept of where you actually found the location of the host and actually have you geolocate each hop along the way to a particular host, and most likely that host will be your inspirational sites. So think about that and have you give you different ways you could express that, because there's different tools, like we've already seen some simple tools you could use by just drawing it out. But know that I've been thinking about the midterm again, and I looked at what we did last time, and I've decided to throw all that out and start completely new and think about more of what we're doing this time and see how I can take the concepts that we're learning and take it to the next level. So that will be one most likely. And you'll see in the next week or so me starting to write up the information about the midterm. And then because my idea is to give it to you at least 3 weeks ahead of time. So because I found that if I do it any more than that, students don't really look at it until really they start looking at it the week before, which I wouldn't recommend, but that's kind of the way it goes. The other thing I will say is last night I went to our GDG, and I'm going to talk about that. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and turn to the screen and let me show you where I went to our GDG meeting last week and last night. And the topic last night was understanding the Google Cloud. So what I would say to you, and let me just scroll through here, and they focused on the app engine and the compute engine. So where you've been introduced, and let me come back, where you've been introduced to the cloud to load files and to share them with other people is kind of like touching your little toe in the cloud and really not jumping into the cloud. And this class is not intended to have you jump into the cloud in the way that I'm describing, but I want you to know that the use of the cloud in computing and web development is a major topic, and understanding how you can use the infrastructures like Google, like Amazon, to host websites, to host data, to use their infrastructure, right? So there's many different ways of using the cloud data that's out there. Now we will in the next couple of weeks give you an experience of actually getting a little bit of a next step in the cloud or the website topics of actually giving you some infrastructure space, hosting space for you to take a look at, because that will be part of what before the midterm I'll need to make sure we've covered, because there'll be a part of that in the midterm. But looking at this is that I definitely would recommend, if you don't already know, there's some great video out there about this basic topic and understanding not just Google, but other folks like Amazon and what they offer, and how you would use those products is important. So the reason I bring this up, to come back, the reason I bring this up is that one of the reasons I spend a lot of my time and effort in develop user groups, and in this case I focus on the Google one, there are other ones here in Fresno, is that it keeps me in touch with what's happening. And for those of you either in this or wanting to get in this, I highly recommend you find a user group. You don't have to have the one I'm going to. There are others out there. And who's kind of becoming the hub of user groups is a company called Bitwise. So if you don't know about Bitwise, I definitely check them out. They offer very short-term 6-week classes that are very targeted to get you the skills you need to get out there. So check them out. I definitely highly recommend them. Okay, so the thing I will tell you too, kind of on the same line, is that I've talked about the DevFest. So this is the site I've been working on for the event site for this year's DevFest, Developer Fest. Okay, and it's GDG devfest.gdgfresno.com. It's not for general release, but if you want to take a look at it, it is a really interesting site, I think, just from a design standpoint, from a development standpoint, and then of course the information that's out there. So this year, 400 people, 8 hours of content, 20 speakers, 3 parallel tracks. For students, it's $10. Now, if you're interested in going and that's an issue, come talk to me. And the other, so this is a really great event. We're going to have speakers that are really amazing. If you want to know about DevFest, it's going to be here at Fresno City College, October 18th. And then if you want to check this out, well, let's go back down here. It's actually 3 local, not local, but Valley Google developer groups that are actually doing this. Fresno's just kind of heading it up. We have Google sponsoring Oakdale, Chamber of Commerce Fresno City with help from Fresno State, and Stickum, which is a private industry. So we got some really great people on board. It should be an awesome day. We're going to give you an event t-shirt. We're going to feed you, give you a pizza party and some dancing at the end. It should just be a really fun educational event. So think about coming. All right. So enough of the advertisements. Let's actually move to what we need to do this week. So the topic of text editors, since we're just starting to talk about this idea of coding, right? So web development, writing HTML code. It's a perfect time to talk about, the different text editors, code editors out there. So I'm actually on my Mac right now. I normally am on my, I'm on my Mac running Windows through Boot Camp. Normally I'm on the Mac side. I use a product called Brackets. Has become kind of my new favorite. Let's see if my computer can actually do this. My new favorite editor. I have also used Sublime, another one when I really like that one. And man, our network is slow. I think it's because my computer's slow because it's recording. But while that's coming up, let me hopefully come back a second. So here's what I want you to do. There are definitely, like, I would say 15 to 20, which is kind of the number we have, interestingly enough, editors that I hear, and actually most of the time I hear about 5, but in this case I want you to go out there and research, right? And there's some really good articles, so do some research. Find why you might want to use this editor over other editors. What are their benefits? Because there are definitely benefits like code editing, code completion that are important. Find those, find articles and then provide links to the articles. But here's the deal. I want you each to find and research a different editor, okay? But then I want you to select an editor. I'm not going to tell you which one to use. Again, I've used Sublime, I've used Brackets, I've used text editor, I've used Notepad++. So there are many out there. But again, when you actually, because I want you to install one on whatever OS you're on, and I want you to write a basic HTML document. And you'll get this in the lectures, but if you're at all confused, let me turn back here, HTML5 and W3 School is a good place to start. They give a really nice introduction to HTML5, what's basically needed on an HTML. And here's, like, you could copy and paste this, right? But you might realize, and hopefully you do, when you do this, if you don't have these particular files, that won't work. And it's not that I need, and I'll come back to you, it's not that I need your file to actually render. I want you to have this in your code editor, okay? So, and then take a print screen of that and share that with us so we can see that you did some HTML code, or you installed an editor, you did some HTML code. And then you shared it with us, again, out on the cloud, using your little toe to dip into the cloud again. Kind of my funny reference there. So that's what I want you to do for this week. I'm coming back here. Okay, so you all need to select something different for the research, but you can't, I will it's fine for you to select something the same as something you install. Okay, so if somebody's researched editor and you're like, yeah, I'm going to try that one, if multiple people select that one, that's fine, but your research needs to be on a unique, like we did last week, first come, first serve. Okay, write 150 words. And by the way, also give references to the articles that you find about them, and there are many. Okay, so for our current topics, I didn't go into it. Version control. What a huge conversation we're going to start, I say, here. Okay, so there's a short bit video I've provided here to introduce you to version control. And what I want you to do is take that short video. If you've done version control, this will be basic, but if you haven't, this will be very new to you, I'm guessing. And then I want you to think about like either a situation in the past where if you had used version control, you may not have lost data. Or if you don't have an example that comes to mind, think about a future example where if you started doing version control, how you might prevent data loss. So version control is really the idea of now that you write this source code, you need to start controlling it and understanding the versions, but it's not limited to source code. It could be Word documents, could be a variety of things, okay? So again, I want you to take the concept, understand it at a deeper level, and then talk about either a past situation where if you had used version control, you would have prevented some type of data loss in your life, or a future situation where if you started doing version control today, you would prevent that, okay? In this case, write 200 words and provide examples whenever possible. All right, so now the second topic is I've been thinking about this idea again of the Google Hangout, the G+ Hangout, and I want to actually get your feedback on if you believe it's feasible. Like, is your computer able to do it? Is it something you feel like you would benefit from? And the question might come up, well, what do you need? Well, you actually don't need a lot. It's good to have a webcam. It's good to have a headset if you have it, but really, you could actually even use a phone. We could actually give you a phone number to call into the Hangout with, right? So, but just think about, because the optimal situation would be if we had, and I'd probably run 2 of them, so that, because there's about 20, 10 on each call, I'd run them 2 Fridays in a row. And that's the other thing, are you available? What's your availability on a Friday? Friday from maybe noon somewhere until around 6, right? So if I can get an idea. And actually, in this case, it would actually be interesting, and I might actually throw this up there, or I'll do it next week, to actually throw up a really fun, what's it called? There's a website where you can actually vote on days and times that would work, so you get an idea about instead of just, and for this writing, go ahead and tell us what would work, but I'll actually probably put that up. Maybe I'll do it before I go. So let me go back to the work. So give each different heading, okay, so in that case. So those are the 2 topics that we have for this week. I think that's it. I've talked about, I think, everything I wanted to cover. Enjoying your post. Here's what I wanted to say. The couple things I didn't see in the free web hosting, and I want you to know about. One is called GitHub Pages. And by the way, GitHub is really for developers, like a social networking, so you can see what developers are doing. So as you get further into this, you're going to want to know more about GitHub and Git itself. But GitHub is just a client and then a place to do it. But GitHub Pages is a way to host free pages out there as well. And the other one that many of you, nobody posted this, so I want you to know about it, is actually how to use Google Drive as a web host, a free web host to host basic HTML and CSS files. Evidently, there it goes. So check that out as well. That's kind of a fun thing. I might actually have this as a hands-on in the next couple of weeks where we use Google Drive to actually host, put up these files that are going to come out of your lectures. Okay? All right, happy Friday, everyone. Have a great weekend, I hope, and I'll talk to you next week. Again, DevFest, I'm going to say it again, devfest.gdgfresno.com. Check it out. Please sign up if you're interested. Talk to me. I have a couple of free tickets. If you want to volunteer, that's a free ticket. We not only give you great information and education. We're going to give you an event t-shirt. We're going to give you a little bit of breakfast, lunch, and pizza party at the end. So I think it's a heck of a deal. So anyway, now I really am leaving. Bye bye.